Are you curious as to what it really costs to buy a home in Monroe, Georgia? You've got the sticker price, so to speak, and then there are all these other costs, closing costs, taxes, financing. Well, let's break it all down. So before we do, let's look at the current market for Monroe, Georgia. Average sales prices for Monroe, Georgia were $483,545 as of the beginning of October 2025. This is the second highest average sales price in the last year. Now, median sales price was $465,000. This is the highest median sales price it's been in the last 12 months. However, we will say that September was a really good month for sales prices. Monroe, Georgia has seen a lot of increases and decreases with sales prices over this past year, and the market is really considered to be pretty stable. For the average home buyers, you should expect to encounter listing prices in the mid 400,000s. However, Monroe does have a variety of homes priced at different levels, starting in the low threes, going as high as you want to go. So what are the real costs you need to budget for? You're going to need a down payment. A down payment is an amount of cash that you're going to have that you're going to provide at closing. This could be as low as 3.5%. So 3.5% is your minimum, and then it can go as high as you want. You could have a down payment of 5%, 10%, 25%. The higher you go, the better interest rate you're going to get. Also, the higher you go, you're not going to have to pay mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance adds a certain amount to your monthly mortgage rate. So paying a larger down payment is going to help you with that. So you've got your down payment, and then you have closing costs. This is this thing that we all hear about. What are closing costs? Well, typically in Georgia, your closing costs are going to be 3 to 5% of the sales price. So if you're purchasing a home that is $465,000, you're looking about $18,000 in closing costs. Closing costs are going to cover things like appraisal fees, title insurance, attorney fees, recording fees, and then also prepaid expenses like property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maybe even HOA fees. These are all lumped into what we call closing costs. Also, you've got lender fees if you're paying for discount points and you're paying for origination fees. Those all fit up in there. Now, part of this is setting up an escrow account. What an escrow account is when you get to closing, it may be that you need to set aside 6 months of property taxes. You're going to need to go ahead and pay for a year of your homeowner's insurance. But then you're going to set up an escrow that takes out money for your homeowner's insurance every month. Now, there is an exception to this. If you get a conventional loan, then you can waive the prepaid fees and the escrows. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to pay some of the prepaid fees, but then you won't have to pay necessarily all of them, and you won't have the escrow account set up. You're still going to have to pay your homeowner's insurance and your property taxes, but you can pay them on your own annually rather than having them taken out monthly from your mortgage payment. All right, so those are two costs: down payment and closing costs. So what else are you paying for? Well, when you purchase a home, we suggest that you get an inspection. An inspection is going to just help you to find things that you can't see with your naked eye. And they could be things that the seller doesn't even know about, right? But you want to know what you're walking into when you purchase a home. So $450, $600, that's the average probably what you're going to pay for an inspection, and it all depends on the size of the home. Now, in Walton County, in Monroe, Georgia, if you have a basement, we do suggest radon testing. Radon is an invisible gas. It's odorless. You only know if it's there by a test. Radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers. Typically, radon, if it's there, is going to be in a basement because radon goes to the lowest, least ventilated areas, which are typically the basement. Why is radon in Monroe, Georgia? Well, we are 25 to 30 miles west of Stone Mountain. One of the sources of radon is granite. Stone Mountain is the world's largest exposed granite outcrop. So that can produce radon in the soil around your house, and then it seeps into the basement. But don't worry, it's a simple test, and if it's in there, you can get a radon mitigation system, get rid of, and that's one of the things that you can ask the sellers to provide rather than the money coming from you. A survey is not required in the state of Georgia. However, you may choose to have one. If you do, that you're probably looking at about $600 for an average home with a basic yard, and then that can go up $1,500 to $2,000 for that. In Georgia, with all of the humidity, we definitely recommend having a termite inspection. In Georgia, there's a saying that says there are two types of houses: those who have termites and those who are about to have termites. So definitely want to have that done. Now, houses within the Monroe city limits have a sewer connection. However, there are many homes outside of the city that have a septic system. Once again, we strongly recommend that before you purchase a home with a septic system, that you have the system pumped and that you have it inspected. Kind of thrown this out before, so just stop for just a minute and listen, because I know I'm throwing a lot of costs at you. Many of these costs, for example, like the septic system, are costs that you, the buyer, can ask the seller to pay for as a part of your offer. Some of these costs are yours alone, but you may get the seller to pay for some of them. Having the septic tank pumped and inspected, providing you with a termite letter showing that the house is free of termites. Those are all things that you could ask the seller to pay for. Now, another fee that you're going to have as a buyer is the appraisal fee. This is ordered from the lender if you're getting a loan. Once again, on average, $500, give and take a little bit. Remember, as you're thinking about purchasing a home, that homes are going to need to be maintained. So make sure you're budgeting for that once you purchase a home. Also, if you're buying a home and you know that there's going to be some immediate repairs that you're going to want to do, make sure that is factored into your costs. So what can you do? I've mentioned a lot of things. Pro tip is to work with a good local lender like me, who is going to help you negotiate good terms and costs. We're going to ask the seller to help pay for some of these costs that you have. We're also going to leverage market slowness. There are homes right now in Monroe that are lingering, some of them up to 60+ days. So that can be a good room for negotiation if the timing is right. If you're ready to buy a home in Monroe, Georgia in 2025, don't just think about the sales price. With a down payment, closing, financing, and extras, buying a $465,000 home could mean that your true cost is about $480,000. The good thing is you're going to go into it equipped with solid numbers. And when you do that, you win. Are you ready to run your numbers or break down another hidden cost? I've got you covered. Give me a call.